says, it's wishing to be free from suffering, but still holding on to this kind of seemingly existing I is like playing with fire and then being surprised when we are getting burned. Yeah, so if we want to get rid of the suffering, we have to recognize what this I is and then to relinquish it, as it says here in my verse. Then 136. Therefore, so again, it takes resolution. He makes quite a lot of resolutions in this chapter. He talks to himself and then says, okay, now finish with this thing. To free myself from harm and others from their suffering, let me give myself away and cherish others as I love myself. So we try also with, to bring bodhicitta in our life, like even neutral actions, that we do them with bodhicitta. Like there's this very nice list, I think it's in the Avankatpaksa Sutra, the Lotus Sutra, where it has these different things, how you think when you close the door. It's a very neutral action. You think, I'm going to close the door for everybody not to go into the lower realm. When you open the door, let me open the door for all beings to attain liberation. When you chop your vegetables, you think, I'm chopping my ego and all these kinds of things. Even going to the toilet, I think you can think, may be able to feed all beings with the wonderful Dharma when you make cacao or something like that. So, very ordinary actions, daily actions, you can really turn on the light, or like here it says, when you turn on the light, you think, may I turn on the wisdom in all beings' minds, especially my mind. When you are in a freezer, that you think, I'm going to the cold hells to liberate the beings there. When you're in a hot place, of course, you think, may I be able to go to the hotels. Prema Children says, loving ourselves is the basis for appreciating others. So you have to ask yourself that question, do I love myself? What does it mean, loving myself? What does that mean? You don't want to get out of bed. You think, oh, I'm so tired, I stay in bed. Is that love? Question to you. Huh? Depends on what? Very good. Depends on the situation. So give me a situation where it would be love.
When I don't feel well.
Huh?
When I don't feel well.
When you don't feel well, yeah. For example, when is it not beneficial at all?
When I'm afraid of something.
Hmm?
When I'm afraid of something.
Yeah, very good. And you want to avoid it? And you can't rest anyway. If we push these unpleasant things in front of us, and we say, oh, and we're avoiding them, and I'm not going to work because whatever, you can't rest in that time. When you think, oh, I have to first rest and then finish that job. I mean, I'm talking about me. I don't know how you are. But it doesn't help. It sits on my shoulder that I have to finish that, and I can't really rest. So it's much better to do it, and then that's it. Huh?
Yeah, but sometimes it's very hard to distinguish between laziness and not feeling well.
But who can distinguish, me or you?
Each one for
Exactly. So this is why awareness is so important, and honesty. But in order to look at our own garbage, we have to love ourselves. We have to see behind that and not identify with that garbage. That's the thing, because otherwise we don't want to see. Because we all think, I'm pretty sure you all think you're quite decent people and quite okay, isn't it? You all think of yourself as nice people.
right. We are trying.
Huh?
Right to be.
No, well,
Everybody thinks so.
everybody thinks of himself as a nice person. It's only I see that the other is not nice, but he thinks he's a nice person.
Yeah.
We have moments where I was such an idiot and blah, blah, but it's very short. This instinctive feeling of somebody I'm a nice person. Not when we start to think about it. I'm talking about instincts. Yeah, we think we're quite decent, we're quite okay. We don't see ourselves as selfish, taking resources, too many and all this. No. This other people do, but who I know. Yeah? When we think, when we put words to these instincts, then we see, oh, wow, I'm also very selfish. If we don't put words, it's just impulses, instincts, habits, that's all. So like this, so we have to really be concerned about ourselves, as almost taking ourselves out of what we are. When we do Tonglen for ourselves, you put your future self here, as if that future self is your child. With that, I want that person to be happy. We don't dare also sometimes, because it seems, I don't know how it is in Judaism, but Christianity, no, you're not allowed to be happy. You should suffer. Then you're a good Christian. How is it with Judaism?
It was like this, but then there was a sect that was going against this idea.
Ah, okay. Okay, good.
So they say you have to be happy.
You have to be happy, yeah. Also, you have a duty to be happy as a Buddhist, because otherwise you can't help others. If you know well, how are you going to help others? If you know well, the only person that you make happy is your enemies. And this is not good happiness.
Yeah, that's true.
This is perverted happiness. So, if we maintain our low self-esteem, we have no basis, no healthy basis to transform the mind, to look at it. Yeah, as you said, it's absolutely not easy to see what our ego now is playing again. But the more you watch, the more what we did here, you went here yesterday. Yesterday we were really looking very, very closely. What's going on? How do I feel? And all this. The more we do this, sometimes I think I have a very good motivation. All of a sudden, if I keep looking at all, today, total self-concern. And then I can change it. Then I can let the self-concern away and still do the action. Also when Leora yesterday also said, isn't it, when you saw, I want everybody to be happy, but why? Because it makes me happy. Yeah? So it's good. For the beginning it's good, but then we have to go beyond that. But it's good to have that attitude and to see that, if I make others happy, it will be good for me. So that's okay to make that step. Don't make too big steps from total self-concern to absolutely no self-concern. Then you will fail. Yeah? For I am now beneath the rule of others. Of this you must be certain, O my mind. And now no longer shall I have a thought that does not wish to benefit of beings. I am under the control of others. Of this mind you must be certain. Now, except for benefiting every creature, you must not think of anything else. So we don't like to be under the control of others, unless you trust that person that you're under the control of. I mean, if I go to a dentist, doctor, I am under the control of this doctor. So if I trust that doctor, I do what they tell me. I don't feel like, oh, he or she is controlling me, I don't want to do what I want. I don't resist, because that would be stupid, but I need to trust them. Yeah, here, no, not even need for trust. You just say, okay, let others be my... we were talking about approving the abuse of others. As a Bodhisattva, by all means, yes. Because why? Because you have the self-confidence, you're not identifying with it and all that. We go sometimes too quickly, like wanting to stop others from doing harm. We're too quick, we think it's about them, but it's about me.
I'm asking if it's helping for the abuser.
But
If he cooperate with his abuse. That's what
Maybe, because then he will start to see, he will start to see what he's doing if we're not hating back. Maybe. If we're not feeling destroyed by it, and there's no negative energy coming from my side, maybe they will be able to open up and see what they're doing. Whereas if I defend myself and I react aggressively, trying to protect myself might not be, he then gets into more aggression. A very simple example, not big abuse, just small one. I was on the bicycle in Bern and I was going on the sidewalk. because it was very high to go down, and I had almost flat tires. So I was concerned about my tires, and I was looking for a place where it's only small. Then this guy shouts at me, sidewalk is for the people on foot, people. And I said, yes, you're right. I'm sorry. He looked at me and said, oh, sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I could have said, stupid idiot, it's none of your concern because there's enough space, because there was enough space for him and for me. But I didn't. I just said, because he's right. Yeah, so this is what I mean. I'm not sure. So, because, if somebody wants to abuse you, how can you protect yourself? The only protection is you go away.
Yeah, if it's a big abuse, it's something else. But if it's everyday abuse, I think often people who are nasty or unpleasant, they are looking for a negative reaction.
Yeah.
They want it.
Yeah, so then, if you this is why very often somebody abuses you, you react with anger. They abuse you for being, or they kind of accuse you of being an angry person.
Yeah.
That you started it. Yeah.
They enjoy the drama.
Yeah. So.
No, it's between moving away from there or cooperating, but something has to be different. Otherwise, it's just doing more of the same with the abuser. Maybe if we survive, as you said, or not being destroyed, so then
yeah, exactly. Then maybe
will happen.
Yeah. So defense is not always the best solution. Aggressive defensiveness and wanting to protect. Again, what Leora said at one point, we talked about protecting yourself from burnout, and she said the best protection is an open heart. This is so true. You see that your abuser is suffering, and you're really concerned about his happiness and not yours. And I've seen it in a couple where she is a very devout Christian. And she did not get angry at him. She did not accuse him. But she got separated for the sake of the children. Because the children didn't have to have strength of faith and strength of mind. Yeah? She never said any bad word about him. She was never angry at him. She saw his suffering. And she did the same to me when I stopped drinking. She's my best friend. And she's a very devout Christian. I'm quite a devout Buddhist. We're very good friends. It is possible, but we never talk about something that contradicts. We never discuss when God and karma. We don't. That's taboo. So anyway, when I stopped drinking, I was really nasty to people. All my bad moods, all my fears, I just totally let it out. And at her also. And then later on said, why didn't you ever protest? Why didn't you ever say something? She said, I saw that you were suffering. Why should I be nasty to you? You suffered enough. But for that you have to be very strong. So again, it depends, But very often we it's almost a bit taking refuge or an excuse to do something. We think, will it help the abuser? I don't know. This we don't know. But first we have to look after ourselves. Will I be able to do something positive for that person? Am I kind of strong enough to understand what's going on and this and that? But again, it's Buddhism, it's not psychology. Yeah, so this is what very often, especially psychologists, they always think about their patients, kind of, when you hear this. This is for you who are sitting here. This is not for your patients. For your patients, you have to see which level are they at, and what can they take and what can they not take. That, don't confuse the two things so much. Because also this is about long-term happiness, not about short-term happiness. But in order to work for long-term happiness, you have to have a long-term view. Yeah. If you don't believe in rebirth and previous and future lives, how are you going to explain karma to somebody? You cannot. Okay, my sight and other senses now the property of others. To use them for myself would be illicit. How much more so is it disallowed to use my faculties against their rightful owners? For my own sake, I should not do anything with these eyes and so forth that I have left at the disposal of others. It is quite incorrect to do anything with them which is contrary to the benefit of others. How could we explain that? What do you think? do you think? It's quite easy, no?
All my senses, all my capabilities, I should give for the benefit of others and not for myself.
Yeah, not just
for my own
working.
sake.
Exactly, not just running after my own pleasures, but also doing that, for others. Like this, I am dependent on others means being at their service. Shantideva's greatest joy is helping others. If his eyes and other senses could be of use to someone, it would make him happy. Doing damage is out of the question. He knows that selfishness blinds us to the preciousness and fragility of other beings. I mean, if we look how much of our resources, time, thoughts go into finding pleasant sounds, sight, tastes, touches. What's the fifth?
Smell.
Smells. Oh yeah, what it costs, a small bottle of perfume. Wow, fortune,
How many flowers they have to pluck.
Yeah, to make these scents. And just when I see where I live, where I live now, or if sometimes in Switzerland, it's a wine area. All this earth is just for making grapes and wine. Okay, couldn't really be used for much else because it's very steep. So also on the earth is it's not so rich. So for grapes it's perfect, but still it's like also down at the bottom is like also grapes. So like this, my body is the boat to benefit others, and for that I do not have to decorate it also. Like this body, we look at ourselves, maybe my age and me never anyway, but I was never beautiful, so it's very good when you get older. It's good that you've never had this idea, I am beautiful, because you can't lose anything. And so, but others, who have been, this very good friend of mine, she was always the beautiful one between the two of us. I mean, and she always put a lot of effort into it. Even now, she doesn't wear a hat in the winter, even she's cold, because it makes her hair flat. So I don't have that problem. So like this, we have this whole thing, we spend a lot of time also, being too thin, too fat, too this, too that, and then the wrinkles. How much money is earned with this, that people don't want to accept that their body is getting older. Yeah. We would never say to somebody, the Tibetans say when they haven't seen you for a while, they say, oh, you look good. But, oh gosh, you've aged. They would say like this. For them, I don't know if today still, but when I was before, they would do like this. Thus, others will be now my chief concern, and everything I see my body has will all be seized and given for the use and service of all other beings. So this big, this is huge. I don't know how can you sit here so quietly and so calmly. Huh? Yeah, we very often underestimate the enormity of these verses. This is why I said to Liora, what do you think? Don't you think it's too much for these people? Yeah?
It's like with climate change, everything is about to be destroyed. I just heard from the way it podcast.
Yeah.
And everybody's like behaving as if nothing is happening.
Yeah.
So this is the same.
Yeah, wow. It's like, but it doesn't mean, everybody all together also. It means that we have an open heart, whoever is there. We try to, or at least when the heart is not open, we notice it. And we see how we have attachment, aversion, and indifference. And then we start with there to say, wow, just a thought, just a wish, Here he talks to himself. So, but if it's too much, we find it inspiring because he does it naturally, and we find it with that. May I be able to hold to all sentient beings as my main concern. Yeah, like that we want to go there, that we feel inspired. We're not bodhisattvas yet. We're just. When are you a bodhisattva? When are you an ordinary bodhisattva? What is the demarcation? Huh?
It's come intuitively, without it.
When?
When it ripens intuitively, without effort.
Yeah, okay, but
spontaneously.
what needs to ripen?
The wish to
Karma needs to finish.
to have everybody to...
When do you enter the path of
Spontaneous
what's the first one? The
bodhicitta,
path of accumulation?
And renunciation. Bodhicitta and
Renunciation. Okay, so that would refuge and renunciation. And here the path of accumulation, the Mahayana path, is not just for me, but for all beings. So I have to have renunciation. If I don't have renunciation, kind of wanting to get out of samsara, it's illusory to think I will bring everybody to that state that I don't even want to go because I'm still attached to samsara. And this renunciation, it should come not only when we suffer and when things don't go the way we want them to go. It has to come when things go well, by thinking, you know, as I said before, at the moment my life is really wonderful. I don't know how long it will last. So that also in these moments one has to say, but still, because it will not last, so I have to get out of samsara. But it's enormous, you know, these verses are huge, but still I find them inspiring. And as Sli was saying, maybe there's so much truth in this. That's the only way we can be happy. And then to take examples like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, he never has a holiday. He never ever has a day off. He's so joyful, even after his stroke and everything. He's never in a bad mood. He's always bubbling over with joy. You know, His Holiness has moments of sadness when he sees the suffering or how people create more suffering, that he cries, 3 seconds? And then again, you know, like... So if I look at these people and say, that they practice this, so if they are, after practicing this, in such a good mood, why should I be, you know? Or people I'm much closer to, like Geshe Tashi, or other teachers that you know, yes? Take others lower. Now it's this kind of very skillful equanimity, but differently. Take others lower, higher, equal as yourself. Identify yourself as other, then without another thought, no holding back. Experience envy, pride, and rivalry. Consider lesser beings and so forth as myself, and considering myself as the other. In the following way, I should meditate upon envy, competitiveness, and self-importance with a mind free of distorted views. So what he is being now, he's really taking, like, let's say, you see somebody that you don't respect. You have people in your life that you treat disrespectfully, like poor people, refugees, people that you think they're just creating a lot of havoc on this planet and you have no respect for them, yeah? But also people by status lower, not just people we dislike, but also, as I'm saying, beggars, homeless people, yeah, maybe, do you have people like this? Sometimes? Yeah, I think yes. Me, yes, definitely.
Why they lower?
Yeah, because now, what comes now? Because then you go in their place and you look what your old ego is, what is saying to them, or what they are saying, looking at you higher. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is why, you know, you become the other I, but your old eye is still there, and the other eye is looking up at you. Yeah? And then we start to feel what the other eye is feeling, and we start to really work with our delusions to understand what it means to be in that place, but you don't take it personally because not you. So it's a very, very skillful way. If you do that meditation with somebody that you know personally, and you really change place, it's quite amazing what happens. So anyway, so now I am the, I am the beggar, and my old ego is coming along. And so maybe I read first what Pema Chodron says. Shantideva begins with an overview of the practice. He asks us to swap places with others, high, low, and equal, and without thinking twice to experience their kleshas. You know, how my delusions come up when somebody treats me in a disrespectful way. He encourages us to amplify these emotions, experience their energy directly, and use them as tools to awaken insight and compassion. So in verse 141, he begins to identify with someone we consider inferior, perhaps a homeless person. He asks us, as a mental exercise, to imagine ourselves as being in his shoes. This has two aims. Firstly, we intentionally experience an emotion that we normally avoid, the understandable envy of someone who has nothing when they see us. You imagine a wealthy person walking past you and condescending and give us a few coins. We see this lucky person, clean and well-dressed, chatting with friends, going to the restaurant or the cinema, and we hold nothing back. We come into contact with our envy. We get fully into it with the help of thoughts. It is allowed to go overboard. We feel its intensity, its seductive power, tendency, its sting. This is the first goal of this exercise. You know, it's actually quite amazing that the homeless are not more angry at us. We get upset when one shouts at us. Then we definitely don't want to give anything. Others are quite, they're quite good not to get angry at us, to see how we pass by and we're not, and sometimes even abusing them and all this. Yeah, like Lama Össel, when he played the homeless, he wanted to experience what he means. He said, "I almost lost confidence in humanity, how heartless people can be." But then another guy came along and he said, "You're not doing it in the right way. Don't play the miserable. Don't be miserable. Don't be miserable. People don't want to give anything to you. Be happy. Be joyful. Then people will talk to you and they will share their things with you." And it's so true. I see myself also. If like this one who is sitting in the shuk I told you about yesterday. I told Luna, it's a German guy sitting in the shuk. Have you ever seen him? You know, the one totally brown, almost black upper body. He's a philosopher. Have you ever talked to him? Should. He's really funny. It's a German guy who's been here 6 years, and he said, "I wanted to come to this country to see what the German people have done to these people of this country." And he likes it. He said, "I like Israelis. I have get enough money to buy food. It's not so cold. I have a good sleeping bag. Life is wonderful." It's quite funny. But he can also be very rude, eh? Yeah. Has he been rude to you? Ah, okay. I had twice very nice conversation. Like 2 days ago, I came with my bags for the offerings for the Nunes, and he saw the bags and said, no, I have enough food. I said, no, the food is not for you. And so I started talking to him and this and that, and I said yesterday, because I saw him at my level, really. I felt embarrassed to stand and he was sitting, so I kind of lowered myself a bit, and I felt embarrassed to give him money. But luckily, before I left, he said, "Didn't you want to give me any money?" I said, "Yes, I want, and it's great. Thank you very much for accepting it." So,
This neighborhood is full.
Huh?
The neighborhood is full with beggars and...
Not so many. I see 2 or 3 sometimes, and well, it's the shuk. What do you want? I mean, this is it. So the second goal of doing this, so we feel what the eye of this beggar must feel, I think it's especially disheartening for people in Dharma groups. We talk so much about generosity and helping others. When somebody needs help, financial or moving or, sickness, and they don't find any in the group. And that happens sometimes. People need physical help or financial help, but nobody is ready to give anything. That can be very disheartening. So then one could feel like this inferior person. So the second goal is to be the one receiving of such an intense emotion. This is something very radical. Normally we only see things from our own perspective. Pondering another person's experience is much broader and more insightful viewpoint, and more immediate, practical way to awaken bodhicitta. So Shantideva creates dialogues between different people, high, low, and equals, and has fun playing the different roles. So don't forget the fun in this. It looks like he's interacting with others, but he's just describing himself from different angles. Okay, so when he says